Hey, thanks for making it to Veterans Info Tap. I'm glad you made it. The 3.2% COLA, is it enough? Many think not. I'm one of those, right? So, the numbers are the numbers, the calculations are the calculations, but I did find an article on why COLA is not enough, or at least that's the question for the headline. But I wanted to also give some historicals and some kind of thought into changing how COLA is calculated and give a little bit of insight there. So, not necessarily in that order. Anyway, hit the thumbs up, subscribe, share with a friend, all that good stuff. I really appreciate it. And let's jump into it. All right, so number one, this COLA that just came out is 3.2%. And, when you look at the last couple years and the amount of inflation and the amount of increases prior, 3.2 is pretty lackluster, right? So in 2021, we got a 5.9%. In 2022, we got a 8.7%. And then we just received the 3.2, which will go into effect in January of 2024. Now, the problem here is inflation, and I don't know how to draw my map here for you, or graph. Inflation's going like this, and COLA is going like this, right? So it's kind of like it's getting further and further apart. And there has been studies and research done. Specifically, I'll mention the Senior Citizens League because they are highly interested in COLA. And in their findings, what I just graphed out to you with my hands is true. The COLA doesn't account for enough in regard to the actual inflationary costs that are being realized, right? Now, let's set that piece aside. That needs to get fixed. And there are two pieces of legislation. Do I think either one of those are going to pass this year? No. But it does indicate that at least there's some thought, something going into it, and I'm going to touch on that in a minute. So setting that aside, fixing the problem of COLA being calculated, in my opinion, incorrectly, let's look back in time here a little bit and look at why we think 3.2 is really low, right? So we just again had the 5.9 and the 8.7. If you go back to say 2009 was 0% for COLA. 2010 0%. 2011 3.6. Then 2012 was 1.7. 2013, 1.5, 2014, 1.7, 0 in 2015, 0.3 in 2016, 2% in 2017, 2018 garnered a 2.8, 2019 1.6, 2020 a 1.3. So 3.2 doesn't sound bad compared to those, but it does sound really bad compared to the last 2 years. And I get it. Inflation is going up, it should be higher. It's what it is. Which again, I agree. Now, when we talk about the two pieces of legislation, which I'm not going to dive into them. I did a video on that not too long ago. Those two pieces of legislation, one is specific to just COLA and increasing COLA by utilizing the CPIE indice versus the CPIW, which would garner about 0.25% higher on average adjustment. Now, that one's in the House. The other one's in the Senate, and the COLA aspect of that bill is just a small little snippet part of the entire bill, which is really revamping Social Security. So, but it also calls for utilizing the CPIE as the way to calculate COLA. So again, do I think any of those are going to pass? No, probably not. But again, there is some sort of action and something to build on. And we need a, for lack of a better word, grassroots sort of an effort of theoretically slamming your fist or stomping your feet on a desk, right? So sending emails, making phone calls are probably the easiest ways to your congressional leadership, your elected officials there, and email or call them and let them know that you support changing the way that COLA is adjusted. Now, here's the kicker, right? We all want more money, but we also know that there's two ways to look at this. if we collectively just say, hey, we need a higher COLA, period, a better way to adjust COLA, what does that mean? That means, as veterans, we need Social Security to adjust COLA in a different way, which means the COLA recipients, right, the Social Security recipients that would receive the new COLAs would also get more. We also already know that Social Security is not great, and it hasn't been great for many years as far as the longevity of being able to make out payments, right? So there needs to be adjustments there. You can't just, let's spend more, but we're already going to be short on this side, so let's just poke more holes in the bucket, right? We need to figure out a way to patch some of the holes in the Social Security bucket before that makes sense and would even, in my opinion, be considered to be passed. Now, the other option, and it's still a big dollar amount, don't get me wrong, is veterans only COLA, right? So a Veterans Affairs specific COLA. And the argument could be made that, disabilities and so forth garner, but then the comeback to that is, well, we provide free medical care through the VA. Now, you're not required to use it, but it's there. So there's some of that, right? That would be the kind of going back and forth parts if you try to drill down to a veteran-only type of thing. I'm kind of a fan of the more people that complain about it, the better, which means you need to loop in all of your Social Security recipients, right? So non-veterans, and create a coalition of Social Security and VA benefit recipients that are affected by COLA and collectively combat this. Now, again, we would then need to address the shortcomings of Social Security. Now, there is legislation out there, and again, do I think it's going to pass? No, but just as an example, there is a cap, a contribution income cap to Social Security. And I have been over that cap in my times in the mortgage industry and so forth, where I'd blow past that cap, and what happens is you stop paying into Social Security. So there's no Social Security tax being taken out of your check if you're W-2'd. So you kind of get a little pay bump. So right now, I don't remember the number. It's somewhere around $160,000. So if you make more than $160,000 a year, you just stop paying into Social Security. Well, take an area like the Bay Area in California, or New York City, right? Or even Miami, right? So, or Austin, Texas, or even Dallas, Fort Worth, Texas, right? You take these places that have a bunch of high income earners that are blowing past the 160 that stop paying into Social Security. Now, like a bank, if you have a 30-year-old paying into Social Security, guess what? That money's not just sitting there, it's earning interest. So the more money that they can get into that pot, the more they can earn interest on it. Just like if you bank at a bank, guess what? When they receive your VA check a couple days early, they don't give it to you. They hold on to it, and they earn interest on it. Then they give it to you on the first, right? And now, if you're with a credit union, they'll give it to you a couple days early. Why? Because they're nonprofit. So that's like, it doesn't really matter. So they just pass that back to you by giving you your money when they actually get it. So I mentioned the whole thing with the cap, the income cap for Social Security, because by eliminating that and allowing people to pay into it indefinitely, no matter how much money they make, would increase the amount that's in the fund that they can actually earn interest on, that they then could be paid out and create some sort of longevity to the Social Security system. Now, look, I'm no economic wizard or anything, so I'm just mentioning a way, right, that may help. So with that, let's go ahead and turn into this article here on the COLA and how it's not enough, right? So again, the headline here is, let's see, now I gotta close that. Man, that's annoying. All right. Why is COLA not enough? Various reasons the COLA is falling short include inflation 68% of older adults say their household expenses remain at least 10% higher than a year ago. Although the overall inflation rate has slowed according to the league's survey, and that's probably the Senior Citizens League, they said this situation has persisted over the last year. Benefits cut. Nearly 6 out of 10 respondents rank this as their top worry. Significant numbers of lower income older households have lost access to some safety net programs over the past 12 months. Some faced a double whammy, the 5.9 and 8.7% COLAs in 2022 and 2023 respectively boosted incomes just enough to make some ineligible for low-income assistance programs such as Supplemental Nutrition Assistance Program or SNAP food stamps and rental assistance, and federal emergency COVID-19 assistance for SNAP and Medicaid ended earlier this year. So, that's probably a problem. So if you're going to raise COLA, then you should probably raise the income limit for some of these safety net programs in accordance, right? So if there's a COLA of 5.9%, then the safety net limit should be up to 5.9%, right? That seems kind of ridiculous. All right, taxes. Because Social Security recipients received the highest COLA in 40 years in 2023, Johnson from the Senior Citizens League expects more beneficiaries to owe federal income taxes on their Social Security benefits for the first time in the upcoming 2024 tax season. That's going to suck. Up to 85% of Social Security benefits can be counted as taxable income when income exceeds certain thresholds. Unlike other parts of the federal income tax code, the income thresholds that subject Social Security benefits to taxation have never been adjusted for inflation. So, as Social Security income increases due to COLA, both the number of retirees subject to taxation of benefits and the portion of benefits that may be taxable rise. Wow, that's pretty not good. So, just a few of the reasons why this 3.2 is not enough, and quite frankly, COLA has not been enough over the years. So, there is, again, legislation out there. Are they going to pass? Probably not. But it's a skeleton to work with, right? It's starting to build some sort of a foundation and create some sort of awareness. But if we don't stomp and slam our fists on tables, guess what? Nobody cares. So thanks so much for watching. I appreciate you. Have a great one. And remember, if we don't take care of each other, something went wrong.